Hi everyone, so here is Moonlight Soul and Adrian Gibson, my good friend, evolutionary astrologer, and we're going to dive deep into the full moon in Scorpio. Hello, Adrian.
Hey, Mila, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? This is my last recording with you in Mexico.
I know it's going to be sad to leave there. It's such a nice warm weather. It might be getting too hot there though
It
now,
is. It
huh?
is getting a bit too hot, but anyway, I think it's time with the Scorpio illumination that it's time to get moving.
Yeah, yep. Time to get into it.
And we had a very fascinating conversation prior to recording, which we regret not recording. So we're gonna
I
see
know,
what else
right?
can come out.
Let's see what we can dig up out of it and recreate.
Yeah, yeah, we're going to metamorphize it.
Yeah, for sure. So shall I bring up the screen?
Let's do it.
I believe this is the screen we are looking for. There, can you see it?
I can see it. 4 degrees.
There it is. I'm just going to move us out of the way. I'm going to put you over there. There you go. Awesome.
Cool.
Ah, yes. The universe is turning.
Well, we have a lot of new phases since our last conversation.
Yes. And oh wait, this is not correct. I don't know why it's not correct. Oh, because I'm a minute off. Hold on a second.
48, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's better. It was a minute off, but now
Okay.
it's because I was like, wait, why is Jupiter and Uranus exact at 21 still? It has moved. I mean, it's exact today, but on the 23rd, it will have moved off.
Yep, because we just experienced Jupiter Uranus conjunction literally a few hours ago, last night.
Yes, yes, we did.
So there is
And
a brand new cycle beginning there.
yep. I haven't listened to the news, so I don't know how it's affecting the world yet. But for myself, I found that I was some more information came into me, which is exciting. I'm ready to look at that and look at my astrology in a different way. I'm going to be doing a deep dive. But for now, I'm going to continue with the way I've been doing it because it's new. So I don't feel firm in it yet, but I'm going to get that way.
Yeah, and I feel because for me it happened in a conjunction with my North Node. I definitely feel combination of the old cycles over here in Mexico and all the rest of it that was attached to my Taurus. So I feel that potentially many people felt changes, but it might not be like a very. It might be still subtle because of course Mars is the ruler of the North Node. It's still in Pisces, and Venus Venus is still in Aries, so it's ruled by Mars in Pisces as the ruler of Jupiter Uranus conjunction, and Venus literally today, as we recording this, is having a conjunction with Chiron. So there is a new cycle starting there. Also, Sun is square in Pluto. So things are definitely moving now that Jupiter Uranus finally had their conjunction we've been talking about for almost a year now.
Yeah. And here now Jupiter in the new phase, so we can expect some oh right brain, some more intuitive side of our reality to be taking some new, we may be getting some downloads and just experience. I think it's interesting that Mercury is retrograde while we're having this new phase. So there's like almost a redo of the left brain while the right brain is starting something new. So there's a shift in the way that we're going to be thinking about the reality to include more of that which is unseen.
Exactly, because Mars being in a Pisces in new phase to Saturn, closing phase to Neptune. And I also find very fascinating that both Mars and Venus will be in the houses of the rulership right after Mars conjunct Neptune. So this is where I really feel that even though Taurus season, this is where the real energy of the manifestation of the new beginning is going to start streaming through, because Mars is the rule of the North Node, will be in Aries, and Venus is the rule of the South Node, now in a new phase conjunction with North Node, will be in the sign of Taurus at the end of the month. So this is where, and that's after Mars is the rule of North Node conjuncts Neptune. So this is where I feel that things are really, really turning now, really turning.
And as these planets move through Taurus, this is where we're going to be internalizing this new energy, really seeding it into ourselves. And with that little push of Mars and Aries, it's going to be intense, but good. I mean, to me, this is what we're looking at is the astrology of a growth cycle. A really big growth cycle. Things will start to change for us. I feel it in a pretty big way. And this,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No. You finish the thought.
I was going to say, in this Sun Moon opposition, shoo, in Scorpio, diving deep.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that it's fascinating. The last time we had the new moon in Scorpio was right after the last Taurus eclipse. So this is where the energy of this particular cycle got seeded, but of course everything is cycles within cycles. So I find it fascinating that we had the new moon in Scorpio right after eclipses, and now we're having a new full moon in Scorpio right after eclipses and right before the new moon in Taurus. So this Scorpio is like on the opposite side of where it should be, because normally we would have a new moon in Taurus and full moon in Scorpio, and in fall we would have the new moon in Scorpio and full moon in Taurus, but this time is around. It's the other way around because of the double new moon in Aries we had last year, which is going to switch this summer when we have double full moon in Capricorn. But nothing is lost. Nothing is lost on, why this is the way it is.
No, nothing. It's this energy of Scorpio. Scorpio it's an energy that where we are confronting things that have been hidden, things that we don't talk about, things that are taboo. And we're becoming secure in ourselves to really start to look at these things, because it's really, I believe, because the sun is in Taurus, it's necessary for our survival. We really have to start to look at what these things are that are hidden, and really, first in ourselves, becoming secure with it in ourselves. And so I see this full moon as really shining the light on what it is that we fear, perhaps. What kind of emotional limitations are we holding on to inside ourselves that are really preventing us from being empowered? Because I think ultimately empowerment is at our goal. I mean, and we have to become secure within ourselves, also to, do our Pluto, which is to break free. And if we're insecure, it's going to be hard to do that. So we're going to have to look at all the areas in our lives that are holding us back.
Yeah, and I mean, Pluto is connected to Uranus, and Uranus, Jupiter just had a conjunction that are connected to Venus, still on the last degrees of Aries, which is connected to Mars in Pisces, and Sun is being ruled by Venus. So we see how everything is connected over here, and it represents exactly what you said, that in order to step into our power, this Pluto in Aquarius ruled by Uranus in Taurus, we need to literally accept ourselves fully. Because if we feel disconnected from any aspects of ourselves due to this guilt, shame, and the need for abandonment of the aspects of ourselves because of the external conditioning, the South Node in Libra, then we will never feel whole. These Pisces, we will never feel whole, and therefore we will not feel that we can survive, because we will be looking for this something that is so-called missing in us, because we had to disconnect from it. we will be looking for it outside of us in this Libra, right? This south node in Libra, and we're never going to find it because we know that Pluto was squaring the nodes the entire last year, pointing to south node in Scorpio and then Libra, and now Pluto is squaring the moon.
Yeah, and the sun.
Yeah,
This lovely T-square.
exactly. So that takes
yeah.
us back to Uranus-Jupiter conjunction.
And they're both third quarters. They're both third quarter squares. So this is where it's back to that energy of Aquarius, where we're all breaking free from that. You know, this is a change in consciousness. It's the crisis in consciousness. And it's interesting because crisis in consciousness, when I hear it, sounds like Uranus and Jupiter. And there they are.
In Taurus.
In Taurus, exactly. So this is something that's important for our survival. And it's important, you know, we've been surviving in a particular way, and I think many of us feel quite unfulfilled. And it is going to require a consciousness shift to be able to live in a way that we are living well, but that we're able to find peace with the way that we're living, I think, but it's going to require a consciousness shift. And this is why I believe that Mercury is retrograde and that we're having this Uranus-Jupiter conjunction, literally the astrology of a consciousness shift.
It's very interesting because, you know, when we look at, if you think about Taurus and Libra, they can't see each other. So we were being conditioned to believe the story, the old story, this Mars in Pisces, it's saying that, well, if you have, the other person doesn't have, because there is the limitation of the resources. The resources are limited. So we were being conditioned to believe if this person has everything, that means I'm going to have nothing. So I have to go over there and cause harm to this person to take what's theirs, because otherwise I will not have enough, right? And this is the old story, because these Libra Taurus, they can't see each other because they feel like, well, if either I have or you have, you know, we can't both have. But this is incorrect. And this is where I feel with this, you know, Aries and the Virgo, which is also in conjunct, we go into, okay, there has to be an adjustment being made, but we don't know what it is. We don't know what the adjustment is, because as you and I were talking, this Virgo plays an important role, even though we can't see it. We can't see it, but it plays very important role, because we are adjusting to something which will become much more illuminated to us once next year when the nodes move into Virgo Pisces, as we've been saying. But at the moment, it's becoming illuminated to us, like all these emotions that are attached to it, which we can't necessarily identify yet, which is why Mercury is going retrograde, because we're looking through the old lens. So we go like, well, this is how the program works. This is what made sense, because this is what we were being told. So why the reality doesn't confirm that no more? We can't see it. We can't see it. We don't understand, like, why, you know, I've done everything I was being told. I became what society expected me to become. I chased after all the accolades and careers and everything. Why do I feel empty? Why do I feel unhappy? Why is majority of the world on antidepressants? Why that is, I can't see, right?
Yes.
So I feel that that's why, especially with the Scorpio illumination, all this trauma is coming out, all this where it hurts, you know, the Venus Chiron conjunction that's taking place, because we need to look at it so we can understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an understanding through the right brain. That's I think that's the point, that we've been so left-brained about all of the reality that we're missing a huge part, you know, the whole right brain, the whole picture, we're not actually seeing it. And so I think we're stepping into this new phase of really trying to anchor into the body this intuitive part of ourselves that's really linked to us, this individuality that we have. And you know, it's definitely new. It's not something, I mean, people link to their intuition, but not as, you know, the majority of us follow what's happening outside in what you can see, touch, taste, hear, smell. But it's, I think and I know like for the last couple of weeks, I've been talking about moving into the body. And I think moving into the body definitely has its place in this intuitive sense. Like when you have this intuition that you feel of what's right for you can feel it in your body. Maybe, I always say the fur stands up on the back of your neck, or you get the goosebumps.
Yeah.
These are the signs, the um, tangible signs that you felt inside the body that are linking us to our intuition, as opposed to, because you can't see if you can't see what it is, but there's a sense. Like we were in our conversation earlier, you were talking about there are all these signs that are popping up that is telling you it's time to go. This is the intuition. This is those things that we're learning to follow. And I think that this is something that other people, more of us, are going to be aware of as this conjunction, moves into fruition.
Yeah, and it's
And
also about the self-trust, that you trust yourself enough to um, you have to trust that what you identifying is correct for you. Because if we, again, Taurus Libra in conjunction, if you go to someone else and ask for their opinion, they're gonna filter it through their own belief system, experience, whatever. So this is why the Taurus is so important, because everybody has their own Taurus, everybody has their own, Libra, everybody's got their own everything, right? So it's about, because majority, like, everybody's intuitive. To which extent people allow the intuition to speak, that's, that depends, right? But then the other aspect is that people are intuitive and they hear the intuition, but do they trust it? Because then based on the conditioning, we might feel, oh, what do I know? I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm interpreting this wrong. Let me go and check somebody else's YouTube channel, see what they have to say. And then we get more and more confused and more lost, where in essence, you're not to compare to someone else, because your intuition is your gift and it's different from somebody else's.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that this is what, part of what this moon is about, is this like looking at the fears to be able to do this, as the sun is shining on this Taurus, this, need to self-preserve. We're also looking at, the energy of being empowered or not. And most of us don't feel empowered. Like you said, we feel like, we're not good enough to trust our intuition and all of that, but this is where we have to look into and ask ourselves why. Why are we not feeling empowered within a side of ourselves? And what can we do to take steps in those directions?
Well, and we know that the answer to that is very simple, because it's right there. Is the Jupiter, is the story. What stories are we being told about ourselves, especially connected to past lives, past incarnations, past structures of reality? The Mars as the ruler of Venus being in Pisces, and Venus has just conjuncted Chiron. So what is the greatest wound that is keeping us separate and, separate from ourselves? Which is this conditioning, the structure that we've been experiencing for the time so long that we can't even remember it being any other way. So with this Jupiter Uranus now, Jupiter being in a new phase conjunction, but Venus as the ruler being in a closing phase conjunction to Sun, to me is exactly what you and I know many other creators are talking about, is this rise of the divine feminine, because Venus is in Aries. I say, because traditional astrology will tell you Venus in Aries is screwed because she's in her detriment. To me, no. Venus in Aries is a rebirth. So she's becoming something different. She's the Lilith. That's why the traditional astrologers, oh, Venus in Aries, oh no, because she cannot be controlled. She's like a wild woman. Well, why that is a bad thing? We need to question why that is a bad thing. Where did it come from? Where did it start from? Oh, let me tell you, it started from the Bible. Lilith. Let's fear Lilith. She was bad. She was bad. So Venus being in Aries and being reborn, being ruled by by Mars, being in Pisces, now in a new phase conjunction with Saturn closing to Neptune, it's saying, yes, this energy is rising because it was suppressed for longer than we can remember. And
Yes.
Venus is the ruler of Jupiter and Uranus. It's saying, well, if we're gonna step into our power, we need to accept all of who we are,
Yes.
and establish that balance within, the peace within, so we can then find it mirrored to us in the external world. But it starts from this complete self-acceptance, and for that, Venus, Mercury, all these guys being in the air is saying, well, it's the path of self-discovery. We have to start from the blank page,
Yes.
literally.
And we have to become secure, comfortable within ourselves to do that deep dive and to look at all the parts of ourselves.
Exactly.
But yeah, sacred feminine's coming in, and to me, this is what the big shift is about. It's the tides are turning. We spent thousands of years with the masculine, corrupt masculine energy, because it's not sacred. There is sacred masculine, but it requires the sacred feminine to keep it in balance. And since we don't have that balance, it doesn't exist in our world. We're not seeing it. I mean, it exists in spots. There are totally men that have incarnated, that are embodying the divine masculine, but it's not the majority, and we're still seeing this imbalance.
And we just have to, for disclaimer purposes, say that this is not male and female form and male and
Thank you,
female as a
yes.
sex we're talking about. This is an energy, and everybody has both. There is a feminine and masculine energy in both of us, because universe always strives for balance. That's why in current astrology that we use, we have 12 zodiacal signs, which many people can challenge and say, what about the 13th? Well, with the level of consciousness we work in right now and the linear mind, we have 12. We can go and include million other things into the chart, but this is for the simplicity, because this is what we need to master first, which is about the duality and polarity. So this is what I mean. Everything is in balance, and this is how it operates in the universe. The universe will always create both. So that's why they will say in nature, if there is a poison, usually a plant that is a cure for the poison grows right next to it, because universe never creates one without the other, which is why we can also see with this chart, everything being in one corner, and this moon on its own with the south node on the opposite side, right? And you can see Lilith is there and Juno and the rest of it, but most of the activity is going on there together on the other side of the chart. It's because there's too much imbalance. There is too much imbalance in the world. But what does this represent from the spiritual perspective is, because there is so much darkness being present, there is also a lot of light. But we don't talk about it. Nobody's been talking about it. But universe doesn't create one without the other. So this is where, again, we are being brought back to this Jupiter-Uranus that's saying, well, what is the story that you believe, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the story that I believe is the sacred feminine is working its way back in. And I think that part of these energies that we've been dealing with is really looking at that. We're shifting from the outer world to our internal selves. That's the first step. We have to come from within ourselves. We have to stop listening to what other people are telling us and really begin to look into our own inner selves and discover who we are. And this is, to me, Pluto and Aquarius. We're really to confront our individuality and discover who we are. The opposite of that Aquarius is Leo. What is truly in our heart, and what is the purpose that we incarnated on this planet?
Absolutely, because like we keep saying, the seed is already within you. Everybody holds the acorn to their tree, right? Like we all know what we came here to become. We just don't know. We don't know it consciously, but the seed is already there. And this is what I feel, what you were mentioning in our conversation prior to recording, when you said you can feel the fixed cross. This is literally what it represents, because we will keep attracting over and over and over situations that will make us feel suppressed, disempowered, not seen, and like alienated from the society, until we tap into the polarity of that experience by feeling the feels, starting questioning, and say, okay, what is my purpose then? If every time that I follow somebody else's navigation and become what somebody else wants me to become in order to fit and belong, right? I don't feel fulfilled. I feel disempowered. I don't see myself. I feel my needs are not being met. So this is why, with this as majority people were conditioned to adopt victimhood mentality, we will create that which we are frequent so much to, and it's not for universe to punish us but because we live in a universe that operates on law of attraction. So until we learn that lesson, we will attract exactly what we match to push us to the wall and say, how much more do you want to keep experiencing the same thing? And we can apply this to microcosm or to microcosm, which is why we keep re-experiencing exactly the same thing externally of us, because it's the same energy. Like we will keep recreating the same wheel or attracting the same energy until we change the frequency, and we have to change that within.
Hence the North Node in Aries, where it's to change the frequency, to begin this new cycle. We just have to start looking at life differently. And that's not easy, you know? People always
No.
ask me, well, how are you going to do it? I say, you feel within yourself what gives you excitement, what makes you feel alive, and let that be the direction that you head.
Exactly.
Just do it.
Because
and see what happens.
It's the grand earth cross. You know, it's like that's the function of Virgo, that takes you from southern to northern hemisphere of the chart. It's a step-by-step process, learning and adjusting. The Taurus makes you feel it on a
Yes,
tangible level, you know, through your senses. Then the Virgo gives you an opportunity to learn and adjust. And then eventually you create a new definition, self-mastery, right? The
yes,
Capricorn.
exactly.
And so it goes. So this is how we change. No, it's not easy, because we are healing and dismantling thousands and thousands and thousands of years of conditioning. Because like we
Exactly.
were saying, Pisces is a totality of everything that came before, not just the Pisces age. It's, yes, the Pisces age is the most remembered because it's the most recent one,
Recent,
but
yeah,
it's a totality. Pisces is a totality. So we have to give ourselves break and cut some slack, that yes, it's not going to change tomorrow, and it's not going to be easy, and there's going to be a lot of like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, because we are creating a completely different new world, completely different paradigm,
yep.
and we're building it as we speak.
Yes, absolutely. And that whole 2 steps forward or 1 step forward, 2 steps back, that is the rhythm of the reality. That's just the way that it is. Yeah, you do the best that you can, you take those steps forward, you may have setbacks, you just pick yourself up again and just keep on going.
Yeah. Okay, shall we talk about that Chiron?
Let us talk about the Chiron.
Do you want to go there, Adrian? Do you want to go there? Are you brave?
What's on your mind, Mila?
We're gonna talk about the Scorpio. Let's talk about the topics. The topics
Yeah.
of Scorpio.
I'm brave.
Okay. So me and Adrian, we want to bring this new perspective to Scorpio, which I'm sure a lot of people are aware of. But apart from everything else that Scorpio rules, it rules our sexuality. And that's actually in opposition with Taurus, because us as a human incarnate, it's a part of our life. But where the most shame and guilt and disempowerment comes from, let's take it back exactly there.
Exactly. And I think that this is at the basis of a lot of the pain and destruction that we as women carry. You know, it's linked to religious beliefs. It's linked to women being treated as second-class citizens. And I think even in ourselves, we've been conditioned to adopt these ideas. And I think that part of this moon in Scorpio is to literally confront that. Let us look at that, because those ideas, these negative ideas about femininity and sex, are they're causing a pushing down of those energies. And whenever you suppress something, it causes a distortion. And what we are seeing in our world is the distortion of the sexuality energy, the sexual energy. And I think this moon and sun, this full moon is beginning to expose that. We have to look at that, because I think it's at the basis for what's eating at us on the inside, and nobody wants to peel back the blanket and take a look at that. And so it's something I'm going to be working on over the next, I don't know how long. And it's my intention to just start talking about it.
Yeah, somebody needs to start talking about these things, because actually, and again, we don't want to reduce it just to female form, but that's how we've been experiencing this for very long time as a female. But then we have to take into consideration that people obviously who are watching this, I expect, believe in past lives, and we all play all the roles of sexes, so we both experience both, and this energy created distortion within both the divine feminine and the masculine. But what we're talking about is the sacred sexuality, which is what creates, is the creation, is the kundalini, is the shakti. And this is what in many cases, many cultures, many religions has been taken away from us, because we were being made feeling ashamed and guilty and stuff. And this is one aspect of why we were being disconnected from ourselves, because of the Taurus, because this is an aspect of human experience. Yes, we can say in the future this probably will not play a role, or not to extent it plays now. But the reason why this plays such an important role is because nobody talks about it, which is why it's so loud. It's the one thing everybody has on their mind, but nobody talks about, because it's so loud. So this is why, especially with this Scorpio full moon, things are becoming more and more illuminated. And this is why the toxicity within relationships is becoming very, very obvious. It's like erupting. And these are all aspects of it: the suppressed sexuality, the sacral chakra being suppressed, the creativity, not even ability, because we all can create, but understanding that you are the creator and you have the potential to create everything. But when we disconnect it from the essence of creation, which an aspect of which is our sexuality, it doesn't have to be sex as an act, but us as a being, sexual being, it's part of our energy, even if we don't include the act of it within that. The energy is there, and we can use it for many different things. But when it's being suppressed, because the sacral is the water, is the emotions, when it's being suppressed, then it wants to come out in all sorts of distorted ways. And that's what we as a human race have been experiencing for a very long time. And how many people even listening to this probably feel uncomfortable and cringe and don't want to hear anymore, like, okay, I had enough now. Exactly. Because this is the wound, this is the chiron.
And as you were talking, I was just wondering how much of our creative abilities, our ability to create on all kinds of level, is distorted because that is suppressed. Like, we may be having a hard time stuck in even following our bliss, because we have this very important energy that has just been suppressed. We're afraid to make the wrong move. Oh my gosh, we're going to be judged. I feel like somehow, and like I said, I'm going to be working on understanding how, and we'll be bringing it out here, I'm sure, talking about doing a nice round robin on this. And getting some different perspectives, because I think that there's a lot of avenues to look at when we're talking about this suppressed sexuality and how it affects human beings, how it affects the way we relate to one another. There are rules and all of this stuff based on the suppression. And I think it's important that we pull back the cover of that and take a look. I think it will be healing. It will be part of our Chiron nature.
Absolutely. And I really feel, because what came to my mind was, we've already had like sexologists and sexual therapists, like all these things have been going on for a while. This is not a new thing. But again, just like majority of medicine we've been encountering in past decades, it removed the spiritual aspect. So yes, there are dysfunctions, relational dysfunction, physical dysfunction within this area of human relationships. But how many people really looked at the holistic approach, like the spiritual aspect of that and why this is, they were like, oh yeah, you stress with your job or whatever, but we have to go deeper. This is Scorpio. We need to go deeper. Pluto is now in Aquarius. It's saying we need to go deeper, that we need to go beyond we've ever been before. And another thing that popped to my mind was we were talking about the Maslow pyramid, right? Last year about the essential needs, and that's the chakras. Is the chakras, the root chakra, and then there's the sacral chakra. So if you really look at it, because I know we said that actually it's all about the purpose, not just about your basic needs. But if you look at the pyramid as, we add the colors of the chakras, then yes, you need to have your root, like your root in knowing who you are, like grounded. But then the sacral is the second. And that is the joy. That is the joy. So for you to be able to get to the third, the solar plexus I am, which is the creativity, the Leo, we need to feel the joy, like what it is I want to create. Well, if I don't feel no joy, if I'm disconnected from life, then what am I creating? And then heart and throat, and then so it goes, right?
Exactly. Yeah, those levels on the hierarchy are not complete and unto themselves. They actually build one upon the next. You can't actually get to the sacral chakra unless your basic needs are met. You have food and water, because you can't even survive without food and water. Shelter, if you're in a cold climate and such things. So it definitely builds, and I remember when I was in, I guess, high school, they were talking about maybe it was college, I can't remember. It seems to me I wouldn't have learned it in high school, but I remember being told that the top one, self-actualization, was something that humans very rarely reached, is what they said. And I was like, whoa,
that's so sad.
I mean, yeah, I think because literally there's so much energy placed on that first chakra, that lower first level, basic needs met. Everybody spends all of their time and energy, making money, keeping the roof over the head, having food. There's so much energy going in there that there's not really enough energy to move upward.
Yeah, and this is why this story has to end, with this Jupiter Uranus, and like we said, all the stuff that's going on there, now Mercury, Venus, they're all in a Sun new phase conjunction with the North Node. And this is all about that, we're moving in this new direction, and it also creates a different approach to what we need and how we getting our needs met.
Exactly.
And it's like, especially in the third world countries, how everything is getting so unaffordable, more and more people are actually just going to give up and say, well, I don't want to have 3 jobs or 2 jobs just to survive. Like, what you mean? Where are we? So more and more people are going to look at alternatives. Okay, well, how can we start growing our own food? Well, I don't have enough money to buy a land and have a house. Well, okay, who does? Let me go and, for example, like what you said with your example, you have a farm, help is always welcome. Extra 2 pairs of hands. Let's go grow more food. So, we can, and this is going to give the power back into people's hands, because once people actually see, man, I can grow my own food, I can take care of me, it gives them so much more confidence. And then they can, okay, what else can I do for myself?
Literally.
Let me feel these feels.
Yes, it gives you the freedom that Jupiter is looking for. Jupiter, that Sagittarius archetype, has got freedom as its basis,
Yeah.
And it requires a different point of view, like you're saying. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about Jupiter. We're looking for a point of view that's not necessarily linear. We won't necessarily feel it, but we will intuit it. But it's in Taurus. How are we going to survive? Let's be creative. This is the creative mind. Let's be creative and figure out how we can do it.
You mentioned in the Sagittarius, well, you know, the North Node in a sense is bringing in the fire trine, Grand Fire trine, which is the Aries, Leo, and the Sagittarius. North Node is in Aries, so it's saying that, well, we're going in a new direction. We need to connect with our heart to see what gives us joy. You know, the sacral chakra needs to get activated over here, and then these new horizons are just going to open up. You know, because like the majority of people that really found the success, the real success, not just the money and the positions and stuff, and then, you know, they get heart attack or sick or whatever, but the people who really feel fulfilled with life, they follow their bliss, whether that gave them millions, usually then generally normally that eventually start generate, you know, what they need to sustain themselves, right? But the people that feel the happiest with the life that they have lived were the people that follow that bliss, that which gave them the sense of joy. And how many people could do that? And throughout the history, these people were the most ridiculed, like the, you know, the starving artists and whatnot. And this is still the story that's embedded in our subconscious, which is why so many people straight away goes like, well, I have to have a normal job because I'm going to become a starving artist. Is that actually truth? You know, is that actually the truth?
True?
Or is it a story that we were being told to keep us away from our own creativity, our connection to the source? Because the source is, that's what we are. We are creators. The source is a creator. We all here just to create experience, whether we enjoy it or not. You know, that's up to us, which place we creating from. And this is what kept us stuck from our creativity, disconnected, because we were being told, well, you know, you're going to survive with that. You better get a normal job, even though you're going to give your life force for nothing, you know, just money that then is just going to be blown away because it's anyway, it's inflation and stuff is worth less and less. So this is what I mean with the Mercury in Aries. It's taking us in a very different direction.
Yeah. And I'm not sure, is it tomorrow that it moves direct? Has it stationed yet?
25th, two days after the full moon. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I know it was coming up soon. So, you know, we've gone back, we've collected some more energy, some more information about our healing. We've made connection with the North Node, getting a little bit more information, and it's going to go direct, recross Chiron again, and it'll cross Venus.
Well, it will cross Chiron right before the new moon in Taurus, and by that point, Venus is in Taurus and Mars is in Aries. So this will be very, very powerful, and Pluto will be already retrograde by the new moon in Taurus.
Right, right. Well, it's headed back.
So we are going to be reevaluating, you know, what are we evolving into over here?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's that, you know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back energy. We got, this is how we learn, this is how we grow. The planets do it, we do it. It's okay.
Which is another patriarchal conditioning. You know, you need to be perfect, don't make mistake, you're gonna get punished. You know, this is where the Virgo became so twisted. You know, Virgo in a high vibration is not about perfection and let me beat myself up about, you know, being imperfect. No, Virgo is about learning and adjusting. Hero's journey. How are we experiencing life? You know, la la la, whatever. But this is what we were again being conditioned, like, you know, by the structure of the society we've been experiencing for a long time now. Don't even let people know you failed.
Right.
You know?
You want to show them that you're perfect. We
And
have to
who
be
is?
perfect.
And that it makes everybody else feel bad.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well,
this is a pretty potent moon.
yeah, I think so. I think so. There's a lot of yeah, energy going on. We're in the last phases of closing off this past, you know. Mars is just getting ready to make its conjunction with Neptune, and then it moves on from there. And we'll be, when Mars moves into Aries, you know, that's it. We're starting this new direction with a lot of energy behind it.
Conjuncting North Node.
Yep.
And
that'll be powerful.
then we're gonna have Jupiter moving into Gemini.
Well, and good. We'll need it there because we're going to need to, you know, look at and gather information and look at the multiplicity of ideas for this right-brained energy. The more, what's the word I'm looking for? The more choices that we have, the better we can create what our future will look like. And we don't have to be afraid to try out new things. Try it out. We'll yeah, it's
And
okay to make mistakes. So we just have to change what we're doing now. And so whatever that is, and each of us will try different things,
isn't it interesting that once again, people who were like jack of all trades, that's again something that was being looked down at. But actually, we are all multidimensional. We were just again the way we were experiencing reality for this past, God knows how many thousands of years that we remember. Was that you need to become the expert, right? But that makes you completely disempowered in different fields. But everybody, oh, you jack of all trades, but they don't know nothing about anything really. That's again, this Mercury. Mercury is actually the archetype of multidimensionality, and we are all multidimensional. And the more people start learning and expanding, the more they want to learn and expand and go in all sorts of different rabbit holes. Well, guess what? This is what would make you start questioning things, question the belief system, and allow you to step into your power. Well, that of course wouldn't be in resonance with some people's agenda,
Right.
So that's
Right.
why, again, that was just another box we were being put into, that, hey, you need to become a specialist, you need to become whatever. And that's what was being rewarded by the society. The more you get boxed, the more you get expert and specialist, the more money you will receive. So this was the carrot, right? But then you feel completely disempowered in just about any other field, right? So actually these people who knows a little bit about many things, they go, well, I can get by, I don't know too much about anything, or I'm not an expert, but I can get by. And that straight away gives you much more power as the person that knows nothing about it. So this is where I feel with Jupiter, because Jupiter expands everything it touches, and is this the need for desire for freedom, and being in a sign of multidimensionality, we will really start seeing how people will start looking at multiple different options to get out of this suppression that will become more and more, because there is no going back. Pluto is squaring this full moon in Scorpio. There is no going back.
Yeah.
It's gonna get so intense that we will have no other choice just to break out of it.
Yeah. And the more, opening up all these other avenues, lines of consciousness, different ideas, different perspectives can only help us expand and grow and have more choices, particularly as we're learning to find what our bliss is, we're learning to find that. And these more choices that we have, can spark our curiosity. Maybe we don't know what that bliss is yet, but when Jupiter moves into Gemini, we may find out what that is.
But the other aspect of it that just popped into my head was, when you follow your bliss, many people, what they find is that, oh, I remember this. I feel this is the soul, how it's actually guiding you to retrieve the tools from previous lifetimes, because they're still there. So, I mean, many people, when they actually follow that bliss and go after that the soul is desiring, it's very effortless and smooth. And like as an astrology, we learn very very quickly. How many people can say the same about, I don't know, cooking or gardening, or music instrument, or healing? They just start diving into herbalism, and then suddenly they remember all these things they didn't even know they knew. This is how we are being, by the universal guidance, being guided to our essence, which remembers everything. There is a connection to everything. It's all in the field. So by people actually following their bliss and their joy, they might discover aspects of themselves they didn't even know were there, that gives them so much more wisdom and choices and opportunities. And this is all about the integrations of the aspects of ourselves that got rejected, whether it's in this lifetime, previous lifetime, ancestor lifetimes, collective conditioning. We're retrieving all of that back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we step into our power.
I was just gonna say, it's the empowerment. That's it. Yeah, and it's interesting. I was listening to a presentation yesterday, and they were talking about past lives and how I can't remember the name of the Ayala. We're calling it Ayala consciousness. This was a Taoist presentation that I listened to, but they were talking about through the lifetimes, we take these things that we know and we put them into the bag. We like keep putting them into the bag, and then each lifetime will be triggered to like pull this thing that's in the bag that we've done before. And it's like, oh, aha, it's something that we've been carrying. And I was thinking about that because I know when astrology was first introduced to me, my friend read my chart and she said so many things about me. And I was just like, whoa, like the drawing too. I was like, oh my God, that's what I want to learn to do. That is exactly it. It's like something that's already been triggered within me. Perhaps I did it in a past lives. I don't know, but I was definitely drawn to it. So, and I think that's true. I think we carry from previous lives all kinds of things. I mean, how many lives have we had? Many, many. I
Exactly.
think Yeah, I think we all are jacks of all trades. I think we are
Exactly.
we need to we just have to trigger those memories.
Unlock the multi is the Chiron. Is the key. Is the key. Is the Chiron. Is the key. It's got the key
Yeah.
from Saturn to Uranus. Saturn is in Pisces. You already
Yeah.
know everything. The wisdom of the universe is within you. And then the
Yeah.
Uranus, all you need to do is break free this cocoon of conditioning that made you believe that this is who you were. It's not who you are.
That's what it's saying. That's exactly what it's saying. We just have to break free from the conditioning.
So
And
I
that's
really
what we're
feel.
doing. That's what we're doing. This is, we're going to come back one more time, get another look with Pluto and Capricorn running sometime around November, I think.
Yeah, September till November, September 1st or 2nd until November 19th, which is right after full moon in Taurus. You can't make it up.
Right. There you go. And then that's it.
And
Off it
then
goes. It'll
Jupiter
be,
being in Gemini is preparing ground for Uranus.
yeah,
And that's
that should be
gonna be a
interesting.
different story once Uranus gets to
Way
Gemini.
different. That'll be a whole different reality.
So that's why, in a sense, the Jupiter is being the gentle one, Jupiter, the Father Christmas, saying, choose wisely, because you're creating your story, your timeline, you're choosing your timeline.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
I
great.
think it's really fascinating. I mean, yes, in the external world, what we can see is the shadow, a lot of it, because it's loud, because it's very loud. But at the same time, there is so much light that is streaming through, because it wouldn't exist if there wasn't the other side of it, so there wouldn't be so much darkness in the world, so much the lower vibrational frequency, if there wasn't the opposite of it. It wouldn't be
Exactly.
possible, because it has to be, universe always creates things in balance. So also by seeing all this stuff that's going on in the world on a global scale, as much as it's creating fear and suffering, rest assured that this means that there is more light than ever streaming on a planet, because otherwise the dark
Absolutely.
couldn't be here, because the light has to be here too.
Absolutely. I mean, the media out there is not that they aren't posting about the light. They're posting about the darkness, and it keeps us in fear. And the scared people are people that are easier to control. So,
But there are more and more people reporting on the lights. I mean, yeah, not in news, even in alternative news, many times they're still focusing on the other aspect of the dark, but it's still the same dark, right?
yep.
But there is more and more people talking like us, talking to encourage people and saying, it's you have a choice to decide what you pay attention to. because all of this is happening simultaneously. Yeah, there are people talking about war, there are people talking about birthing golden age of new earth. You know,
Yep.
whichever you focus on is up to you, because you
Yes.
decide where you use your prana, right? So this is why it really is the time to step into the role of a Capricorn and to take responsibility for the choices we are making, because in many cases, again, by the victimhood mentality of the Pisces age, we were being conditioned to believe we have no choice, that this is
Right.
how it is. You know, what can I do? I'm poor one person, right? We cannot change nothing. And, you know, when we all die, it's not like I remember it, but when we all die, we have the life review. And you will see how many people you impacted throughout your life. And it's a lot. So anybody thinking I'm just the one person and I impact no one and I have no power, I mean, think again. Think again.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
And it is the Taurus, right?
Yeah. But I mean, ultimately, this is part of our evolution. We're going through the trials and tribulations, uncovering those things that we need to uncover, and trying to break free from the conditioning that, the conditioning was valuable for the time that it was necessary. It was part of our evolution. So I don't want to say like, oh, that's wrong. It was a bad thing. It got us to the point now, but now it's time to move on from there. We can't stay here. This is, I feel like this is why there's so much war and craziness erupting, because we're trying to stay here and we have to move on from here. It's like you were saying about the signs knowing that it was time to leave Mexico. The time to leave this energy, the way we've been living, is happening, and you can tell by how much, homelessness there is, and how, much drug abuse there is that's going on. I mean, I don't know if that's happening in other countries, but it's definitely happening here in the United States. And it's, it's hard for the young people to find jobs and housing and all of these things. And these are the signs that it's time to move on. Now, not necessarily moving on like leaving the country, but definitely moving on from the way that we are living. It's time to expand our horizon, expand our mind, and let's figure out a new way. And that's going to be individual for each of us. It'll come from within inside of us.
Exactly. And this is why the young people cannot find a place to fit in, because the old doesn't fit, because they're here to create the new, be participant of the new. And just what you were saying about this, like all this war and all this stuff that is so loud and, attracting so much attention because it knows it's on its last legs, right? So it's like, it literally, imagine that it's like when you go to some, I don't know, market, and who is the loudest, that attracts the more crowd, because this is all about consumption. This is all about, perseverance and consumption. The Taurus is about consumption. So it's literally this is a war for our life force, for our attention, for that which you represent as a human, your life force. So of course they're gonna be the loudest bidder to say, hey, pay us attention, give us your life force, la 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 la, right? But to me, it always is, how does it make you feel afterwards? Do you feel energized or do you feel drained? If you feel drained, which I mean, I'll be very surprised if people felt energized after watching news. I mean, the vibration is so low, I mean, it takes getting used to it. I'm sure my dad doesn't feel it that way because he watches every day. But for me, if I watch news, I'll be dead on it. I'll be like probably checked out for half of the day. I'll have to take a nap or something. But what I'm trying to say by this example is that, okay, you always so Taurus, feel into your body. How does this situation, this information, this whatever makes you feel? If it doesn't make you feel good, then take your energy somewhere else. It's about the highest bidder. It's about how do we consume, how do we use our not just money as per se, but everything is Taurus, our life force. So this is how we have the ability, we have the power, we have the strong will to take it somewhere else. So you don't like watching these people because it makes you feel upset. Okay, then let's go and watch someone else that gives you this motivation, inspiration, whatever. And then maybe through that stream, you can meet up with people with the same ideas, and then you can create something that makes you feel good and empowered. So it literally is about, we need to stop giving our life force to these energies, right? Because
Yes.
what's the point? It's just waste. It's just waste of life force.
Yeah. And draining. It drains us.
Yeah. So it's a decision time. It's a decision time, and with all these lunations, every single one that is building on the top of each other, it's just showing us what different areas of our life are becoming illuminated and poked at and stuff to make us aware. Do you want to keep walking the same way, making the same choice, or is it time to step into the Aries and try something different?
That's what the North Node says, what Chiron says, what Mercury says,
Venus.
Venus. Yeah. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it can feel a little uncomfortable doing it. That's the energy of stepping into something new. It'll be uncomfortable, but you just keep on doing it. Eventually you'll get used to it.
Yeah, just like we got used to that which we are experiencing now and think this is normal. I mean, is
Exactly.
it?
Exactly.
So, you know, we just have to be brave like our ancestors were. They were building these new things and never saw them in a totality, right? But they were like, well, we have to try a different way. You know, we don't want to keep walking in a desert. We need to build roads or bridges or something. But how many of them saw the final product? I mean, but they had the desire. We want to make a change.
Yes,
So this is where we at.
this is. It's a good place to be. New beginnings.
Yeah. Yeah. It is what it is, you know. It's not
Yeah.
gonna be rainbows and butterflies all the way, but with every next step in a new direction, it will become clearer where we're heading.
Yes. Yes. The road will open up as we take those steps forward. You just have to trust. Trust in yourself, which is something we're not really taught to do. So it'll be uncomfortable to do that, but we have to start somewhere.
How many more signs do we need that that which we are experiencing is no longer in alignment? I
I
mean,
know, exactly. Exactly. I mean, I've been working on change for so long now. It just seems I'm getting steps closer. I'm almost there.
yeah.
Yes.
Cool. I feel complete. Anything else you would like to add, Adrienne?
No, I'm feeling pretty complete. I think that, yes, we are definitely moving in the direction of change. I think that our mindset is changing. I think that we're willing to look at and uncover some deep-seated fears, some things that we've been disempowered by, and uncover them, take a look at them, and try to make change.
I just noticed is that's Lilith on 22 degrees Virgo, right?
It is.
Well, she's making an exact trine to Jupiter in a new phase conjunction with Uranus, and
Oh my
Mercury is
gosh.
conjuncting Chiron at North Node. Oh
Well,
my
there you
God.
go.
And it's in Virgo, right? Learning and adjusting.
There it is, bringing that wild feminine back in. I mean, that's the energy that's needed, really.
And Juno is trining the Sun.
Yep.
And also
That
Sirius is trining
series is
Uranus.
trining exactly.
Oh
Chiron.
wow! Even the goddesses are supporting us. I mean, come on, the divine feminine full power.
Well, that's what I think. I think that's part of what's happening. The divine feminine. It's so interesting to me that the asteroids were discovered in 1977, you know, literally at the height of the women's libs movement. These goddesses come in and have been working with the energies for a while. And I think now they're just coming up and helping us because we're trying to find balance. We're trying to bring the divine feminine back in.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, out of the planets, the only one that has feminine energy is Venus.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, like the goddess is like, hello, we're here to help.
We're here too.
Which just makes sense, right? Who cares about goddesses? We just focus on the masculine planets. I mean, yeah, doesn't it describe exactly what's been going on in the world?
Right. Well, it's time to bring a little bit of balance. And part of that energy, I think, is that Jupiterian energy, you know. Jupiter aligns with natural law. Natural law definitely aligns with the sacred feminine. And you know, our societies, these artificial laws, man's laws that have been placed on top of natural law, have helped to squelch the sacred feminine. So the fact that they're stepping in to give us a little more help and come out from under as we break out of these past ways of being, past ways of conditioning. I don't think it's a mistake. I think it's the energy that's there. And if we can just trust in ourselves, and I mean, I think that each of us is guided from the inside to make these decisions anyway. Whether
I
you
mean,
know the astrology or not, you know, you're guided from within to do the things that are necessary for your growth.
because you already know, but it's also interesting that all of them, you know, like Lilith, Juno, and Ceres are in earth signs.
Yeah.
You know, like reconnecting to nature, to natural law, to the things that ground us, right?
Yes. Well, that's the thing. That is it. It is all the things that ground us. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we could just start digging deeper into different
I
rabbit
know
holes over
we could
here,
go on and on.
but we just gonna we just gonna stay conscious of time. And yeah, this was, as always, great conversation. Definitely we
Yes.
heading in a new conversational topic directions here.
Yeah.
So Adrian, tell us about your news.
What's going on? I'm posting my moon report on Monday, and you can find it at Jess Karen Astrology on Substack. And also you can find me at on Facebook, Jess Karen Astrology. Very soon. I'm meeting with my niece today, see about that website finish. I'm hoping that I can launch it really on Monday or Tuesday for this full moon. It would be perfect.
Yeah,
And at that point, you can reach me at jaskiranastrology.com.
awesome. And also now you can watch these videos on Adrian's YouTube channel as well.
And
Just
my
kidding,
YouTube,
astrology.
Jess Karen Astrology on YouTube. Yeah, I have a video that I've put out that you can see there, and I'll be putting another one out shortly. So yeah, and then this will be there.
And we're also looking forward to hearing more about your exploration of these topics.
Yeah,
Of
I'm
bringing
looking forward. I'm
divine
really
feminine power back. Cool. Awesome. And yeah, and for me, same place as before, moonlightsoul369.com, and social media, all the same handle, moonlightsoul369. So as always, Adrian, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for your time. It's always a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
And thank you everyone for listening. We see you for the next one from Europe.
From Europe. Yeah. Well, have a good flight.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.